In this video, I'm going to run through the deadlift setup and technique. I'm just going to get straight into it. So for the deadlift, I want to have a narrower stance than if I was squatting. So a stance of about hip distance apart. So for this one, I've heard people refer to this as a power stance, a jumping stance. And essentially a good way to find this stance will be to just, imagine you're going to try and do a vertical jump as high as you can. Your feet will probably end up under the hips. You're probably not going to do a unrealistic massive power ranger jump or something like this. So about under the hips is where we want to be. All right, now for this, the next thing in terms of where we should be in relation to the barbell, I want a little distance between the bar and my shins at the start of the lift. I think a lot of times folks will either be too far away from the barbell, and that's going to obviously affect the bar path and put more stress through the lower back. You'll be less efficient from this position. Other times folks will start where the bar is in contact with the shins here. Now the problem with this is once I bend down to set up, I'm going to disturb that barbell and move it around. Now we do not want the barbell to move at all right? For the setup, I want the barbell to remain still. So what I have to do is work myself around the bar. So again, feet about hip distance apart. I want roughly an inch or so between my shins and the barbell right now. So the next part then is going to be, I'm going to reach down and grab the bar. So for the most part, I might hook grip it, but I'll go for this kind of clean grip here. I might go alternate grip as it gets heavier, but for my warm-up sets and for a lot of the time, I'll try and maintain that clean grip, both palms facing down or towards me. So again, I want to grab the bar. Now, I don't like to bend my knees initially, so I'll just reach down, kind of keep my hips more or less where they are. From here, what I want to do is I've created a little window essentially with the bar, my arms, chest, and back down to here. I want to bend my knees so they're going to come forward through that little window. Now my shins are touching. Okay, so again, I do not want any space between the bar and my shins when I start this lift. A lot of times I see folks that they'll come down here, they'll get themselves set up and there's space here. Again, that's more work for the back to do and it's going to be a less efficient bar path as well. So feet hip distance apart, bar shins about an inch away from each other, reach down to grab the bar. Now what I want to do is I want to pull myself down so my knees come forward and again shins touching the bar. Now from here in this position, my shoulders are higher than my hips. What I want to do is I want to squeeze my chest up without moving my hips. That's going to look a bit like this. What that's doing is it's creating a lot of, or it's taking the slack at least out of my back here. So I'm putting my back into a slightly extended or arched position, not overextended, but I can feel my hamstrings are working in this position, glutes, and my back. So I'm taking the slack out of my muscles, and I also want to take the slack, that rattle, out of the bar. So when I reach down to touch the bar here, as I'm bending my knees forward through this window, I also want to take the slack out of that bar. So what that will do, you'll see, is it's going to cause me to externally rotate and retract my shoulder blades slightly. That's going to engage my lats as well. So I almost want that bar to nearly almost float off the floor here. Now I can't stay here for too long because I am working, I'm going to get tired. So once I get into that position, I want to take a big breath in, I want to tighten my core, I don't want to push the floor away. So I want to think about squeezing the weight off the floor as opposed to snapping at that weight. I don't want to hear a big rattle as that bar or the weight breaks off the floor. Okay, so again, jumping stance, power stance, feet under the hips, shins roughly an inch from that barbell. I'm reaching down to grab the bar, okay? That clean overhand grip. Hands are just outside of my thighs. Now from here, I'm going to pull myself down to that bar. What that's going to do is going to bring my knees forward. Shins will contact the bar and I'm tightening up through my lats and I'm squeezing my chest up. I'm not looking up this way. I'm looking out in front of me here. So my neck and my back are in line. From here, big breath. I'm going to keep tight. I'm going to push that floor away. Glutes to finish. Now on the way down, I don't want to start by bending my knees because that bar will have to travel around my knees. I'm not going to be efficient there. What I want to do is I want to keep my back strong, good posture. I'm going to hinge. That gets the bar to my knees, and once I'm here, I can bend the knees to sit it down. Again, I like to straighten the legs to load up the hamstrings. I'm pulling down, taking the slack out of the bar, and again, I'm really getting my lats engaged. Like I'm almost trying to bend the bar around my legs. Big breath. There's contact with the bar and my shins. I'm going to push the floor away. Back angle will stay the same initially. I do not want my hips to jump up. And once I get past my knees here, it's the glutes, just squeeze. So the top of the rep is like, I almost say like a wedge. I want to pull the bar back into my hips. That's going to keep my lats engaged. But I also want to drive my hips into the bar, like that wedge in the top position. So I've heard people say fast hips as a cue, but I want to avoid, as I lock out, I'm hitching the bar, or I'm going to overextension here, because what I'm doing is, I'm not really using the glutes to finish, I'm dumping into my lower back. So you'll see some strong lifters, it'll almost look like get a bat and hit a pole, like that kind of reverberation. That, you can kind of see something similar in that top position. So I'm here, lock it in, lats engaged. Now I'm working even to hold this position. Big breath, push the floor away, and then the glutes to finish. Almost that reverberation at the top of the rep. Hinge, bend the knees. Load up. There we go.